She flew all the way here from UK to give us insights about the world of creating successful leaders. On your attention, everyone, Ingrid Pope.
Thank you. Hello. Hello. To start off with, I'm very conscious that I am standing between you and your next caffeine shot. And it's so hard to keep your attention focused for such a long time. How's the energy level in the room right now?
Great.
Still awake? Still awake. Fabulous. So, my brief was to come and tell you a little bit about my story, and I'm thrilled to be surrounded by so many successful colleagues here. Ooh. And that's the beginning of my story. So I started my career in corporate IT as a graduate trainee. So I knew nothing about IT. I finished my studies, I finished my degree in business administration, economics, and I really had no idea of what I wanted to do. I tried sales for a little while, that wasn't quite my thing, and I started working a little bit by elimination. So what are the things I don't really like? And I landed in IT, and in those days, we learned coding in books. I'm kind of showing my age now, aren't I? And I did a number of technical roles, and I supported end users for various systems. I spent time in meetings, a lot of time in meetings. I delivered training for new systems and users who are going to be using these new systems, and let's not forget change management, because we're not just giving people new tools, we're asking them to do things differently and think differently. And I spent some time in analytics and data and understanding data, all the data that we collect in large organizations, and what do we do with that data? How can we use that for our strategic decision making? And I spent a lot of time traveling, and I spent time in a very male-oriented world. It was very male-dominated, and that might look like a funny little Dilbert character, but I worked with a lot of people like that. So gender diversity is also something that's quite big in this world, in the world of IT and technology. But I know it's shifting, but there's still a little bit of work to do in that space. So at the end I was a business partner, which meant that I sat in between the parts of the organization that needed IT systems, so the salespeople, the marketing people, the finance people, the HR people, and on the other hand, I worked with the people who delivered IT services. So I found that I was this role in the middle, which feels really alien to all those people who are in this startup world where everybody does everything. But of course, when you're in a really large organization, everybody has a really precise little role to play. And what I enjoyed in that role was working with people and understanding all the different people and understanding that you don't talk to the finance director in the same way and using the same words as to the marketing director. Because the marketing director isn't interested in numbers, really. They want it to sound colorful and fluffy, and they want that story to be told, and the finance director definitely wants the numbers. And so I found that space really enjoyable, working with people. So while I was in that role, I trained as a coach, because the company I was working for had a very large internal coaching department. And I started becoming a coach internally, and I did that alongside my IT job, and I really enjoyed that. And I thought, right, time for a shift, time for a new beginning and a change. And so I started my new coaching practice. And the one thing really that I learned in working with all these people and starting my coaching practice is this: that we are all superheroes. We already saw Superman earlier today. We're all superheroes, Everybody is unique. You all have really clear resources and skills that only you have. And you're able to do really incredible things. But sometimes you don't see that for yourself. Or sometimes you forget that you have all these skills and that you're a superhero. Or maybe you find yourself in a brand new situation and you're starting a new job, or you're going and pitching for this new round of investment, and you need new skills that you haven't got yet. And that's where the coach comes in. So this coaching thing, what the heck is it? And there will probably be as many definitions of coaching as there are people in this room. Because we use this word quite a lot, and it is used in a lot of different contexts. So I'm going to just describe a little bit the context that I'm talking about and what I do with it, to give you a little bit of a flavor for that. So what we start with really is a scale. And this is a scale, the level of directiveness. Stick with me on this. On one end, you've got somebody who's telling you what to do. That's your teacher. That's a trainer. That's like your tennis coach who teaches you how to do a backhand. Okay? So that's you being told what to do, or shown what to do, because you need a new skill and you need to go learn that. But on the other end is you and all your creativity. And you decide for yourself what you want to do. And this end is what we call non-directive coaching. And what the heck is that? And what is the point of that? Because if I go for coaching, I want to be told something, right? I want to learn something. Well, let me tell you about this non-directive coaching and why the heck we do it. So first of all, we are all different. That's a strand of DNA, which might not be immediately obvious, but that's what that's supposed to represent. Okay? We're all very different. So, what would be a brilliant idea for me might really not be a brilliant idea for you. Or for you right now. Because I have my experiences and my background and my knowledge, which would be very different to yours. So what's right for me is not necessarily right for you. So I can't tell you what to do in this particular situation right now to solve your particular problem. And we all have habits, ways of doing things that we have learned over years, and those are really difficult to shift. The easiest example is smoking, right? And we also know smoking is addictive and there are chemicals ingrained in that, but anyway, try to quit smoking. It's hard, because it's not just the cigarette, it's all the habit that goes around that. So if you want to start doing something differently, you need to understand how hard that can be, so that you can really put everything on your side to address that change. And one of the things that is the most influential in order to make a decision and to break a habit is if it was your own idea. So once you have decided that you want to do this, and you have decided how you were going to do it in a way that was right for you right now, you have the biggest chances of success. So me telling you, this is how you should do it, or your mom telling you, you should be doing this, is unlikely to make any change. Because you know all that stuff, right? You're not stupid. You're very clever people. So if it's your own idea, and you're determined to do that, you will have a far bigger chance of success at whatever it is that you want. Which is why we do this non-directive coaching thing. So this non-directive coaching thing, how do we go about doing that? Well, we're curious. We ask a lot of questions. And we don't ask closed questions. We don't want a yes or a no as an answer, because that doesn't get us anywhere. We want open questions. So tell me a bit more about this thing that you're wanting to do. So how would it be for you if you were really successful? Tell me about that. You're there. You're successful. What's it like? What's it feel like? What does it sound like? And then you start creating your own picture. And as a coach, we listen. Okay, that sounds really obvious. But how often have you had a conversation with somebody? You're just talking to a friend. You say, oh, I really don't know what to do. I'm trying to decide which course I should take next year. Oh yeah, well, when I had that same question in my head, this is what I did. And I think you should do that. Oh yeah, great. I don't really want to do that. You didn't listen to me, did you? Because in our normal conversation, we're wanting to share our own experiences as well, and we want to help, because that's what we like to do. We like to help. But actually, sometimes the most helpful thing to do is to zip it and just listen. And then we listen really carefully. So I might ask you, so, you really, really want that? Yeah, I do. Okay. Or, yeah, I do. That sounded really flat. There was a completely different energy in that answer. So what's that about? Yeah, I say I want that, but actually maybe I don't. Maybe I want something different. So we listen really carefully, but to the entire person. We don't just listen to the words, we listen to the energy. And we're non-judgmental. Because how often have you found yourself in a situation where you actually think, well, I can't really say what I think because I'm worried about what they're going to think about me, or how that's going to sound, or that's really embarrassing, or that's really scary, or that's too stupid. Nothing is too stupid. Nothing is scary. You say it all. Because as a coach, we're non-judgmental. We're not going to think differently of you. And there's something really powerful about trying to say stuff out loud. Once you say it out loud, it's very different from when it's in your head. And finally, the last piece around coaching is, until now, all we've had is an interesting conversation. But coaching is all about looking into the future. And how are we going to achieve that? And we achieve that by making a plan and having some actions and some next steps and deciding what we're going to do next. Because if we don't do anything about it, we're never going to get there. So that is really important. Planning. And it doesn't have to be a big step. It can be a small one. It can be, I'm going to do the first draft of my CV by tomorrow. Or I'm going to do the first draft of the first section of my CV tomorrow. Doesn't matter how big or small it is, do something. Or else you're never going to get there. So this coaching thing, what have I done with it? So I created creating space. So I took all my background from working in all these large organizations and being really stressed out a lot of the time and finding it really interesting and fun, but a lot of work and politics and too much of everything. So I've decided that I wanted to do a few things. So I take you back to my level of directiveness, that scale. And the first thing that I do is this non-directive coaching thing that I've been talking about now for a little while. And unless you're all asleep, are you asleep? No. Yay! So I do some of this non-directive coaching stuff one-on-one, which is at that end of the scale. And then I run some leadership development programs, which are sort of a bit more towards the teaching thing, so teaching some content and doing some coaching stuff as well, mainly with IT leaders because that's my background. And also developed a little model which is all around decluttering. And you think, yeah, decluttering, and over lunch somebody said, oh yeah, Marie Kondo. Yeah, sort of, but not just that. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about decluttering, and then we'll wrap up. So I don't know whether you're able to read that text down there, because it's probably quite a small screen, but what that says, I like this little cartoon, it makes me smile, because it says, think this is bad? You should see the inside of my head. So clutter, we think clutter and we think all the physical stuff. We think about the mess and yeah, okay, we're in a digital world now, so I kind of put the digital stuff, data files, kind of into that as well, this intangible stuff. But when we're in a messy environment, we know through research that that affects us a little bit in terms of clarity of thinking and focus and decision making. So my invitation to you here is to just be a little bit aware of what's around you, the physical stuff that's around you. And the physical stuff that you carry around with you in your bags, in your suitcases when you're traveling. Just notice all the stuff that you have and ask yourself, do you need it all? Because we carry around a lot of stuff that we don't need. And that's stuff that plays on our minds as well. And we also have a lot of mental clutter. So I spoke a little bit about all the intangible stuff, the data, the files, and all those things that we might not store properly, the emails, God, the emails. And then, there, of course, there's social media. And ping, there comes another text message, and ping, there's another little alert. And very quickly, all we do is we're distracted by the technology, which is great, and sometimes it's fun, and that's how we stay connected with people, and that's how we build a certain type of network. But we sometimes let that get slightly out of control, and we find that we've spent 3 hours doing not very much. And so all this mental clutter and this overwhelm can really get in our way to do some really good thinking and be really creative. And then finally, spoke already quite a lot today about kind of emotions and emotional intelligence and that kind of stuff. And this is all our emotional clutter that we carry around with us. So I've depicted it here in terms of people and all the people in our lives. And some of them give us energy, and some of them might drain us a little bit of energy. So we're surrounded by stuff, our brains are full, and we've got a lot of people around us, and all of this stuff costs us in energy. So think about what you want and how you're going to build your successful career, and what do you need for that, and what's in your way. What is slowing you down and weighing you down? Because quite often we don't really notice these things until it's really quite far down the line already. So that's what I do. I work with clients and we talk through their stuff, their clutter, and very interestingly, all these things are interlinked. And one lady I was working with, for example, realized that she was spending a lot of money that she didn't have on very luxurious items that she didn't need, but that she was doing that because of a really difficult situation at work. And making that connection and understanding the behavior and what that was all about allowed her to start to make that shift, like, okay, this thing is going on at work and that's impacting me. I need to shift that. What am I going to do about this? So we all have these behaviors, these ways of doing things that are connected, that in very unique ways. So just start noticing them. There's no right, there's no wrong. Just notice stuff that you're doing and that's in your life, and see what's working for you and what's not. Now, I promised you a superpower. And in your career, in order to become successful, what would you need? I want to offer you the transformer. Because how often do you hear yourself saying, oh yeah, no, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. Couldn't possibly do that. Well, here is the magic word. You cannot do that yet. Because you can transform into whatever you want. And a skill that you don't have now, you can learn. So with that magic word and that magic superpower, I leave you to enjoy your coffee break. And do please email me and let me know what this new superpower has allowed you to do. I'm curious.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Pope.
Thank you.